Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Okay, thank you everybody for being here. We're going to do an impromptu Chaitanya Charitamrita class because that is the class for Mondays to honor His Holiness Giriraj Swami, who asked someone to give that class every Monday. And so we're just kind of filling in. So thank you all, and let's see what we can do. So let's just read. Oh, actually, close your mic, yeah. Gyanatirmanisha Ganananjana Shalakaya Chakshurama Tamina Tasmaya Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bishtam Shtapitamina Murtoli Swayam Rupakadamayam Tadti Swa Padantakam Vandiham Shri Guru Shri Rita Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnamascha Shri Rupam Sagrajetam Sahagana Raganatam Vatam Tam Sahajivam Sarvetam Savahutam Parajan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopake Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Guranki Radhe Vinamnesre Vishavanustate Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchkapa Rivesha Kripasunabhya Evacha Patidana Pavane Bhyo Vaishnave Bhyo Namanamaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Alright, so I'm praying to the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and all the dear devotees, that I can say some words to honor Sri Sri Radhakala Chanji and the service of Srila Prabhupada for the pleasure and knowledge of all the Vaishnavas. Okay, Hare Krishna. Yeah. Alright, so let's go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 25, text 158. The book kind of just flipped open to this page, and I thought it would be nice to read from here, because we actually yesterday in the Srimad Bhagavatam class, I believe it was Canto 2, Chapter 3, Text 10, somewhere around there. Is that? Yeah, I think it was. But like, I remember that Srinath Krishna Prabhu was mentioning about the scent of the glorious scent of the tulsi leaves, and how it affected the four Kumaras. And so when I opened the Chaitanya Charitamrita, seeing what we could read, it came to this verse. So I thought that was very appropriate, and I decided to go with this one. So, Tasya Rinda Nayasana Pada Vrinda Kinjauka Mishratosi Makaranda Vya Anantargata Sva Varenya Chakara Tesham Shanko Shabam Ashara Jusham Api Chitatanlo. Translation: when the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves and saffron from the lotus feet of the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead entered through the nostrils into the hearts of those sages, the Kumaras, they experienced a change in both body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. Purport. This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:15-43. For an explanation, see Madhya Lila, chapter 17, text 142. So, this is really illustrative of how powerful the scent of tulsi is that has been offered to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radhakala Chanji and Sri Krishna. And actually, I remember yesterday that Srila Prabhupada was saying that anyone who has not smelled this aroma of a tulsi leaf offered to the lotus feet of Krishna is just like a dead man. So we're all very fortunate, because I think that all of us have had this experience of this aroma of tulsi, and it's so powerful that even the four Kumaras, who were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding, were still attracted by the personal scent of the smell of the tulsi leaf offered to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and therefore they were able to make advancements to go more on the path to worshipping the personal form of Govinda. So, does anyone have any comments about this? Any additions? This, we can make this like a kind of free, kind of conversational class, because it's a little bit more personal, like smelling the leaves. Yeah. Mm. 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 So okay. Um, okay, so text 159. Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgranta Api Ukrame Gurvanti Ahutakam Bhaktim Itam Bhutta Guna Harihi. Translation: those who are self-satisfied and unattracted by external material desires are also attracted to the loving service of Sri Krishna, whose qualities are transcendental and whose activities are wonderful. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is called Krishna because he has such transcendentally attractive features. Purport: this is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.10. For an explanation, see Madhya Lila, chapter 24. So, those who are self-satisfied and unattracted by external material desires are also attracted to the loving service of Sri Krishna, whose qualities are transcendental and whose activities are wonderful. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is called Krishna because he has such transcendentally attractive features. So, this reminds me, if we look at the word ahutikam, let's see where the breakdown is for that word. Let's see here. Yes. I'm just I'm just seeing exactly what it says. Yeah. Here it is. Ahutikam, causeless or without material desires. So it does remind me of the unmotivated and uninterrupted service, and so we know that there is one way to be completely blissful and in transcendental service, transcendental loving service, and that is to be unmotivated, uninterrupted. And this is what completely satisfies the self. When one does partake in service in this way, then it's joyfully performed because also the self is satisfied. And by self, we mean the true self, right? The self meaning that our true constitutional nature, our position, is servants of Krishna. And so, because we are soul, but we're covered by this material body, and the material body is incongruent with our spirit soul. And so when we perform this uninterrupted, unmotivated devotional service, we're aligning ourselves with our true position as servants of Krishna, and we become blissful, right? So, that is the way to be attracted to the personality of Godhead, Hari. Kyanakale se Maharashtriya Brahmana Sabate Kaliya se Shloka Vivarana. Translation. At this time, the Brahmin from the province of Maharashtra mentioned Lord Chaitanya's explanation of the Atmaram verse. Text 161. Shlokera artha prabhu eka shashti prakara karyachana yahashuni loke chamatkara. Translation. The Maharashtrian Brahma stated that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already explained that verse in 61 ways. Everyone was astonished to hear this. 162. Tabe sabaloka sunete agraha karila eka shashri artha prabhu vivari kahila. Translation. When all the people gathered there expressed a desire to hear again the 61 different meanings of the Atmaram Shloka, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again explained them. 163. Sunya lokera bada chamatkara hala Chaitanya Goswami Sri Krishna Nidharila. Translation. When everyone heard Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's explanation of the Atmaram Shloka, everyone was astonished and struck with wonder. They concluded that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was none other than Lord Krishna himself. 164. Eta kahi utiya kalila gora hari namaskara kare loka hari dwani kari. Translation. After giving those explanations again, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arose and took his leave. All the people there offered their obeisances unto him and chanted the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 165. Sabakashi Vasikare Nama Sankirtana Preme Hase Kande Gaya Karaye Nartana. All the inhabitants of Kashi, Varanasi, began chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in ecstatic love. Sometimes they laughed, sometimes they cried, sometimes they chanted, and sometimes they danced. Does anyone know the 8 ecstatic symptoms of pure love of God? I know a couple of them, like sometimes uncontrollable laughing, uncontrollable crying, hair standing on end, and perspiration, yeah, and then trembling of the limbs, yes, and then being struck as though dumb, right? Like when you're just like, right? And every time I think about the 8 aesthetic symptoms of a pure devotee, I always think about Vishnu Jan Swami. Just instantly, that's the first person that comes to my mind, because he was always chanting so aesthetically, like Bali. Okay, so 166. Sanyasi Pandita Kare Bhagavata Vichara Varnashi Pura Prabhu Karila Nishtara. After this, all the Mayavadi sannyasis and learned scholars at Varanasi began discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered them. Okay, yeah, so we were, when Anuradha Devidasi Mataji was here doing the Chaitanya Charitamrita classes that she normally does on Monday. And she's, she's very learned, actually. So she was talking about, what I remember was from those classes was that she was talking about the conversations that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was having with a Mayavadi sannyasi, and who actually converted to Vaishnavism. And so this power of Lord Chaitanya is unparalleled, and in this way, all of the Mayavadi sannyasis can have the chance to be exposed to the personalistic Vaishnava philosophy. And so again, here we see that the Mayavadi sannyasis and learned scholars began discussing Srimad Bhagavatam and were converted. So again, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had the power to change the, not to change, but to inspire the Mayavadi sannyasis to themselves want to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. But then she also said, I remember that that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can do this because he is the Lord, but that for us, that we actually should not be too eager to try to preach to Mayavadi sannyasis, because we would have to have the knowledge to defeat their philosophy, and so we run the risk of being influenced by them instead of them, instead of us, and instead of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy influencing them. So, text 167. Nija loka lana prabhu ailiya vashagara Varanasi haila devataya nirya nagara. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then returned to his residence with his personal associates. Thus he turned the whole city of Varanasi into another Navadvip, Nadiya Nagara. Purport. Both Navadvip and Varanasi were celebrated for their highly educational activities. At the present time, these cities are still inhabited by great learned scholars, but Varanasi is especially a center for Mayavadi sannyasis who are learned scholars. However, unlike Navadvip, there are hardly any devotees in Varanasi. Consequently, a discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam was very rare in Varanasi. In Navadvip, such a discussion was quite ordinary. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Varanasi and turned Prakashananda Saraswati and his disciples into Vaishnavas, Varanasi became like Navadvip because so many devotees began discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. Even at the present moment, one can hear many discussions on Srimad Bhagavatam taking place on the banks of the Ganges. Many scholars and sannyasis gather there to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and perform Sankirtan. 168. Nija gana lana prabhu kahe hasya kari kashite ami alana vichite bhavak kali. Translation. Among his own associates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu laughingly said, I came here to sell my emotional, ecstatic love. Oh, that was it. That's pretty straightforward. I came here to sell my love, right? And it's only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that gives his love freely to everybody. And so that's why we are all here. Jai Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. 169. Kashite grahaka nahi vashtuna kailaka purna rup rapi dashe vahi layoya nahiyaya. Although I came to Varanasi to sell my goods, there were no customers, and it appeared necessary for me to carry them back to my own country. 170. Ami bohija vahimu toma sabara dukkha haila toma sabara ichaya vincha mulye bilai. All of you were feeling unhappy that no one was purchasing my goods and that I would have to carry them away. Therefore, by your will only, I have distributed them without charging. Purport. When we began distributing the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Western countries, a similar thing happened. In the beginning, we were very much disappointed for at least 1 year because no one came forth to help this movement. But by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, some young boys joined this movement in 1966. Of course, we distributed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra without bargaining or selling. As a result, this movement has spread all over the world with the assistance of European and American boys and girls. We therefore pray for all the blessings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu upon all the devotees in the Western world who are spreading this movement. This verse really touches me because it reminds me of Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Shasvati Deva Gauravani Pracharna Nivashesha Srinivadi Pasada Deshade. Tarne. And so this Nivashesha Srinivadi is really important. It says on these translations here, he's very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his Lord's feet, and he's also delivering the Western countries, which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. And for me, myself, I really, I appreciate Srila Prabhupada very much for preaching it to us Westerners, because you see that so often this culture of impersonalism and voidism, that is what is advertised, right? But yet, somehow, by the mercy of Krishna, through the grace of Srila Prabhupada, we are able to be here. And, you know, Srila Prabhupada came over with like the equivalent of like only, what was it, like the equivalent of $5, something like that, right? American, right? So, $8, okay, $8. And he had just one trunk of Bhagavatams, right? And he was basically alone in New York City, right? And wandering around for the year, and just kind of like, not, I mean, he knew what to do. He was chanting and he was trying to preach, but in 1966, he had some young boys join this movement, and we were just in, me and Sanatana Prabhu, we were just in New York for the Ratha Yatra, right? And it's a wonderful experience, and also there's a temple in Brooklyn, but near the temple there's the 26th Second Avenue storefront, and I had the chance to go to the 26th Second Avenue storefront and hear from Mukunda Goswami, and he was promoting his book Miracle on Second Avenue, and of course everyone's probably read this book. Have you read this book? Right? You have, but you haven't read it yet? No, it's such a good read. Gokulananda Prabhu, have you read this book? Yeah. Roshan Prabhu, have you read Miracle on Second Avenue? No. What's that? Yeah. Bali, have you read Miracle on Second Avenue? Yeah. So I would recommend it to everybody, right? Because it really gives a wonderful, like, accurate glimpse into what it was like in the beginning days of the coming to the Hare Krishna movement, and just to hear from Mukunda Goswami was very amazing. He's the author of that book, and because he was there serving with Srila Prabhupada at that time, and like 26 Second Avenue is not a big place, right? And I think he described it as like 80 feet by 15 feet wide, with like one bathroom. And so you can imagine that like everybody was just cramped in there. But why are they all doing it? Because everybody believed in Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada is the only one that has the grace and the power and Krishna's mercy to try to spread Lord Chaitanya's movement, And so we all gathered together there, and we read from the book, and then they served out some prasad. But it was just amazing to see that storefront, how small it is, and that's how it began. That's how this whole International Society for Krishna Consciousness was formed, right? Through Srila Prabhupada, they got that storefront, and then they also got. Is this true, Prabhuji? Or you have something? You have some. Okay, and then they also got They had an apartment, I think, and I remember him talking about the amount that they were going to lease the storefront for, right? So this is Mukunda Goswami recalling the events of the rent of that place, right? Recalling how Srila Prabhupada was an expert bargainer, And so he basically was talking to the landlord of 26 Second Avenue, and he said, and he's talking to Srila Prabhupada. The landlord is talking to Srila Prabhupada. Would you be willing to purchase this storefront for a price of what did he say? $100 a month? And Srila Prabhupada said, well, you see my two disciples here, and it was Mukunda Goswami and one other person, I think Bhakta Paul is who he said, right? Because they have become life members of the Krishna consciousness movement, right? And so they are kindly giving a donation of, I think he said, $21 a month, right? And so if you would like to become a life member, then you could simply just give $21 a month. And then I remember that Mukunda Goswami was saying, like, I never remembered becoming a life member. And Bhakta Paul said the same thing. So they were witnessing how Srila Prabhupada was like an expert businessman, and he was just trying to get money off of the rent, And so he did knock off the $21 rent off of the charge, and then also he said, we have this apartment available in the back for $85 a month. So for round about, whatever, do the math, it was about $150, round about 150, 160, whatever the math is. Like they were able to get the storefront and the apartment, and that's where it all kind of like came out of. And so they still have it there, and they I think that they have like kirtan and prasad, some kind of gathering on at least Saturdays, but I think maybe Wednesdays as well, if anyone wants to go check it out. Yeah. So that was, and so you can see, right, that there was like such a small place, but yet now the A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's books are translated in like 80 different languages, and there's literally millions of copies being circulated around the world. This is the power of the pure devotee of Krishna, like only Srila Prabhupada can do this, right? And so it's beautiful how it started off so small, and even in his own life, he circumambulated the globe 14 times in 12 years, and started at that time over 108 temples, farm communities, ashrams, gurukuls, and the first gurukul was right here in Dallas. Yeah. And now that gurukul has expanded. and now it has 2 buildings instead of one, right? So, and everyone in that Gurukul is like, top rated, in their class, and they go on and have very good lives through their education. So, this is the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, Jai. So, let's see here. I guess we can go a couple more verses, right? So we can do 171. Sabe kahe loka tarite tamara avatara purva dakshina pashima karila nistara. All the Lord's devotees then said, "You have incarnated to deliver fallen souls. You have delivered them in the east and in the south, and now you are delivering them in the west." Eka varnasi chila tamote vimukha taha nistariya kaila amasabara suka. Only Varanasi was left because the people there were against your missionary activities. Now you have delivered them, and we are all very happy. Varanasi grame yadi kolihaya haila sune grami deshi loka ashite lagia. After the news of these events were broadcast, everyone from the surrounding neighborhoods began to pour in to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Laksha koti laksha ashi nikha granana sankirna stane prabhura napaya darshana. Hundreds and thousands of people came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is no counting the number. Because the Lord's residence was very small, not everyone could see him. Prabhu yabe shane yana veshara dara shane dudike lokakare Prabhu vilokane. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to take his bath in the Ganges and to see the temple of Viveshvar, people would line up on both sides to see the Lord. Bahu tuli Prabhu kare Bala Krishna Hari Dandavat kare loke Hari dvani kari. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed by the people, he would raise up his arms and say, "Please chant Krishna! Please chant Hari!" All the people received him by chanting Hare Krishna, and they offered their respects to him by this chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And, I'm remembering one thing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When he would get into his ecstatic symptoms, then his arms would become, like very long and then very short, right? So sometimes he looked like, I guess, like a turtle, and sometimes he looked like his arms very long, right? And so this was his ecstatic chanting of Hare Krishna. I don't know if anyone has any comments, additions, corrections, or anything to say in general. But I think we should maybe end it here with the chanting of Hare Krishna. That was a great way to end, I think. And thank you very much for tolerating me for this impromptu Chaitanya Charitamrita class. And yeah, and so I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy that all of you are here. And so Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Yeah.